Except by some miracle of a prolonged sentence, these prisoners have either been or are to be executed in 2025. Michael Anthony. He was executed on April 8, 2025, after being convicted of kidnapping a woman, forcing her into sexual acts, and then strangling her. He was also found guilty of carjacking and kidnapping. The court sentenced him to death along with 2 consecutive life sentences. A jury unanimously supported the death penalty. Demetrius Terrence. Alabama executed Demetrius Terrence on February 6, 2025, using nitrogen hypoxia. He was convicted of committing a murder in 2000 and had chosen this method of execution as early as 2018. His case marked only the 4th time nitrogen hypoxia was used in the United States. Mikhail Mahdi. Convicted for a violent crime spree, Mikhail Mahdi was responsible for the murder of an off-duty officer in South Carolina and a store clerk in North Carolina. He received the death sentence in South Carolina and life imprisonment in North Carolina. Following multiple failed appeals, he was executed on April 11, 2025. Moises Sandoval. In Texas, Moises Sandoval was convicted of kidnapping, assaulting, and murdering a 20-year-old woman. He choked her, stabbed her, and burned her body before disposing of it in a creek bed. After spending nearly 2 decades on death row and exhausting his appeals, he is set for execution on April 23, 2025. Brad Sigmund. A conviction for the 2001 double murder of his ex-girlfriend's parents led to Brad Sigmund's execution. He chose death by firing squad due to concerns over lethal injection. On March 7, 2025, South Carolina conducted the execution, marking its first use of this method since legalizing it in 2024. Aaron Gunches. Arizona executed Aaron Gunches on March 19, 2025, for the 2002 murder of his girlfriend's ex-husband, whom he shot 4 times in the desert. After years of delays, Gunches waived his clemency hearing and asked to be executed. The state complied with his request, and he was executed on that given day. Edward James. He was executed in Florida on March 20, 2025. He was convicted of murdering an 8-year-old girl and her grandmother during a home burglary in 1993. The case experienced multiple delays due to questions about his mental competency, but ultimately, the courts upheld the sentence. Oscar Smith. A Tennessee jury sentenced Oscar Smith to death for the 1989 murders of his estranged wife and her 2 sons. Although his execution was delayed several times due to DNA testing, the state proceeded with the sentence after all legal challenges were rejected. He is to be executed on May 22, 2025. Matthew Johnson. Texas has scheduled the execution of Matthew Johnson for May 20, 2025. In 2012, he set a convenience store clerk on fire during a robbery, resulting in her death. Though his defense presented a history of childhood abuse, the court did not budge and upheld his death sentence. Timothy Coleman. Timothy Coleman is set for execution in Ohio on October 30, 2025. He was convicted of luring Melinda Stevens into an alley during a snowstorm in 1996, where he shot her twice in the back of the head. Coleman later reenacted the murder and even bragged about it to others. Kareem Jackson. The state of Ohio has Kareem Jackson's execution scheduled for December 10, 2025. In 1997, he and accomplices committed a double homicide during a robbery by forcing the victims to lie face down and shooting them through pillows. He has been on death row for more than 2 decades. Harold Nichols. He was sentenced to death for the 1988 assault and murder of a 21-year-old woman in Chattanooga. The story is this. After the deed was done, he beat her to death using a wooden board. After multiple delays, including due to the COVID-19 pandemic, Tennessee set his execution for December 11, 2025. Wendell Arden. He was executed in Oklahoma on March 20, 2025. He was convicted of the 2005 murder of Amber Matthews during a home invasion, where he shot her twice in the head and left her friend critically injured. He admitted to the crime, but until he died, he offered no explanation for his actions.